Good morning. My name is LouAnn and welcome to Blackberryrock Homestead. And today is March Candy Madness. This recipe is another recipe I have not tried ever. So let's turn the camera around and let me show you. And by the way, this is being filmed in November of 2024. The very first thing we need to do, besides washing our half pints, this will be in half pint jars, we need to chop up 2 pounds of onions. So I'm going to do that. And of course, wash my half pints. And this calls for 5 half pints, I do believe. So, and this is a water bath canning recipe. I do believe it is out of the new Ball canning book, just a FYI. And I will try to leave that down below somewhere, a link to that. So I'm going to chop up my onions and then we'll get ready. So basically 4 cups of onions, because 16 ounces is a pound, so I'm going to just use it by my measuring cup. So because I'm not going to weigh these onions, these are part of the onions that I bought for $1 Walmart bag. So I'm going to cut them up. So I got 2 pounds of onions here, 1 bay leaf. I'm going to add a half a cup of balsamic vinegar to this. And then the next thing I'm going to add is a half a cup of maple syrup to this. And then we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of ground white pepper. I only got black pepper, so that's what I'm using. And then we're going to bring this. We're going to cook it over medium heat for 15 minutes until the onions are translucent, stirring constantly. And then we're going to stir in 2 cups of apple juice and 3 tablespoons of Ball, low or no sugar pectin. And of course, our sugar. No, wait, we won't add our sugar just yet. So I'm going to add my maple syrup to that. And then I'll be right back. Now we're almost there where the onions are translucent, which they are pretty much there. So now we need to stir in 2 cups of apple juice and 3 tablespoons of low sugar pectin. So we're going to stir that in. And then we're going to bring this to a rapid boil before we add our sugar. And we got to let it boil for 1 minute, and it's got to boil where we can't stir the boil down, so a really high boil, and we need to stir this constantly right now. So now we wait for a full rolling boil that we can't stir down before we add our sugar, which would be a half a cup of sugar. And I'm hoping and praying this is really good. May have to buy me some more half pint jars. If the recipe calls to put things in half pints, that is what you do. You're not supposed to go against the grain and put in like pints. But this may be a good one that you do. I do a little rebel canning because I ain't got no more half pints. Unless I pour out some jelly or use some jelly somewhere. So now we're going to get this to a full rolling boil. And I do have water in my water bath canner. So now that it's done boiling, now we set it for 5 minutes. Let it kind of settle down a little bit after doing our water bath. And then we will be pulling our half pints of Balsamic Onion Jam, which, according to the Blue Ball book, the new one, you put it on hamburgers. So we're still going to try this. So as usual, I wiped my rims, put my flats on, and put my rings on, finger tight. So now we got them in the water bath canner. And now we got to wait for a full rolling boil. And then we'll put our countdown for, I think, 10 minutes. It's either 10 to 15 minutes. So this is my first time making this recipe, just a FYI. So I'm going to put the lid on and clean up my kitchen a little bit. And while we wait for it, full rolling boil. You see that water on the top? Don't remove that water. It will evaporate eventually. So I'm pulling my jars out of the canner.